Chapter 91. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The whole place was dead silent. Above the sea of clouds, the Zhuxian sword formation pulsed with a chilling light, its murderous energy blanketing the sky, inspiring dread. All eyes were locked on the formation's center. Lingering fragments drifted on the clouds, remnants of the Daluo blade wheel, the imperial weapon the Daluo palace master had honed for ages. Now, the blade wheel was as fragile as paper against Gu Changqing's Zhuxian sword formation. In mere moments, the sky-high sword light had shattered it, sending the Daluo palace master spitting blood. He stared at Gu Changqing, his eyes wide with undisguised horror. The kid's using some kind of trick. No holding back. Seeing the Daluo palace master get schooled by Gu Changqing, the Yulong vice palace master, along with Longyuan and Tunhun, the two heavy hitters of the Divine Emperor Perfection realm, jumped into action. The three Divine Emperor powerhouses charged towards Gu Changqing's Zhuxian sword formation. Learning from the Daluo palace master's mistake, they were much more cautious. They didn't rush headfirst into the killing formation. Instead, they stayed outside, using their spiritual weapons and secret techniques to bombard the Zhuxian sword formation. The Daluo palace master started to regain his senses. The Yulong vice palace master nudged him, saying, "Hey, no sweat. This kid's sword formation is tricky. If we nab him and make him cough up the secret, it'll be worth more than that busted blade will." The words sparked something in the Daluo palace master's mind. His gaze at Gu Changqing intensified. He wasn't the only one. Even the family elders Yu Baifeng and his buddies had brought as backup, more like cheerleaders, perked up at the Yulong vice palace master's words. This Gu Changqing was scary strong. If they could capture him, they'd get more than just a sword formation. His training methods, even the guy himself, could be a goldmine. Immediately, the Daluo palace master swallowed his grief over the destruction of his weapon and jumped back into the fray. The Xianhuang cultivators who were swayed by the Yulong vice palace master were tempted, but hesitated, seeing Gu Changqing now swarmed by four divine emperors, that they didn't dare risk it. This was way out of their league. They knew their limits. They hadn't forgotten how Gu Changqing had slapped Elder Yunan of Daluo Tiangong to death. Even if he was under siege, if he got the chance to slap them, they'd be lucky to survive, and the injuries would be devastating. Besides, for big shots ganging up on one god king. Talk about a cheap shot. Who cares about honor these days? Then the battle took an unexpected turn. Above the sea of clouds, the Zhuxian sword formation blazed with cold light. The murderous intent flowed. The sword light soared. The terrifying aura suffocated the spectators. The attacks hit the aura generated by the sword light, only to be nullified without damaging the formation. The sword light made the Daluo palace master and the others wary. Eventually, the four of them stopped attacking altogether, focusing solely on dodging the relentless sword light from the Zhuxian sword formation. Gu Changqing, with his sword formation, was flat out dominating them. For great emperors, two in the late stage of godhead, two at perfection, and they were getting their butts kicked by a god king? Nobody would believe it. They'd think it was a fairy tale. So, this is Gu's real strength. Across the sea of clouds, Emperor Xian watched the sword formation. Gu Changqing was strolling through the garden, casually wielding the Zhuxian sword light, forcing the four great emperors into a panic. Amazing, she whispered. She was mesmerized, her heart pounding. She'd seen plenty of geniuses, she was one herself. But Gu Changqing, he was in a different league. He was not just a genius, but a monster. Below, the spectators were in shock. They never imagined Gu Changqing could be this powerful. The Jiang family was especially stunned. As for Luo Xinyue, she was speechless. She'd already been floored when Gu Changqing had casually killed an emperor. Now, seeing him take on four emperors at once, pushing them back, she thought she was dreaming. Is this what a top-tier talent can do? This was only a handful of emperor-level figures could do this. She was thankful she hadn't gone through with challenging him, using him as a stepping stone. Luo Xinyue was simply grateful. Thank goodness the Daluo Tiangong had shown up when they did. Just then, the Daluo Tiangong's allies, the ones who said they'd come to help Yu Baifeng, realized the Daluo Tiangong was losing badly. They paled and looked at the elders of their clans and sections. "Master, do we help?" Yeah. We promised to stand with brother Yu. The spectators tensed. The Xianhuang cultivators weren't strong, but there were a lot of them. If they joined the fray, focusing on the Gu family, even with Xianhuang in charge, they could tip the scales. But the emperors who came to help stood their ground. They'd only agreed to help Yu Baifeng as a favor to their juniors. They weren't stupid. Now that they saw Gu Changqing's power, why would they risk it to help Yu Baifeng and Daluo Tiangong? If the Daluo Tiangong and soul-devouring sect lost, they'd be targeted. It was better to watch from the sidelines. Therefore, the emperors immediately snapped at the juniors. Shut up. I'll make the decisions. Hearing this, the Daluo palace master and his allies' eyes turned cold, but it wasn't unexpected. These allies were only in it for the potential gains. Now that they saw they were losing, it made sense that they'd bail, but there was still hope. You forced me to do this, as the head of the divine emperor force of Daluo Palace. The lord of Daluo Palace always had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. However, he hadn't expected things to come to this. His eyes were filled with pain, and the murderous intent in his eyes when he looked at Gu Changqing was becoming more and more turbulent. Kid! I'm going to capture you alive. I'll force you to spill all your secrets, and then make your life and your people's lives a living hell. The Daluo palace master roared. He slapped his storage bag. A fiery red light appeared, a red elixir. The elixir radiated power, its medicinal energy immense, like a flame. A red sea of fire filled the clouds, terrifying. The 5th level top-level precious elixir, blood-burning soul pill. Even the soul-devouring divine emperor and the moon spirit were stunned. The Daluo palace master grinned and swallowed the elixir. He activated his internal energy. Condense, with his shout, his power began to surge. In moments, he broke through the barrier of the divine emperor realm, reaching the saint emperor level. Chapter 92. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even a saint emperor would be drooling over a 5th level treasure like the blood-burning soul pill. For emperor realm powerhouses, this pill is the ultimate trump card. If you're below the saint emperor level, it can boost your strength by several minor realms in an instant. Even a saint emperor can get a temporary bump up a small realm. Take the Daluo palace master, a queen realm deity, for example. After popping this pill, his strength was immediately jacked up to the level of an early saint emperor. Of course, the boost only lasts for 15 minutes and the price is steep. To achieve that saint emperor level for a quarter of an hour, the Daluo palace master had to burn 1,000 years off his lifespan. No wonder he was glaring at Gu Changqing with pure, unadulterated rage. He was beyond livid. Gu Changqing, you forced me to play this card. You're dead meat. The Daluo palace master roared, waving his hand to conjure a giant palm made of spiritual power. He stopped trying to dodge the Zhuxian sword formation's attacks like he had been. Now, his spiritual energy hand could actually block the sword light and energy blasting out of the formation. The sheer killing power made everyone watching gasp, and that wasn't all. After batting away the Zhuxian sword formation's barrage, the Daluo palace master raised his hand again and ripped open a hole in the void. To the shock of everyone present, even divine emperors like Longyue and Tunhun, he pulled out another wicked-looking weapon. It was different from the Daluo knife wheel that Gu Changqing's sword formation had destroyed earlier. This one was composed of 36 long, pitch-black blades. If the original Daluo knife wheel reeked of death, like it had been forged in the blood of countless victims, then this obsidian version had a far more sinister aura. It was like a black hole, ready to swallow anything that got in its way. Is that the Daluo Tiangong's ancestral weapon? The heaven-devouring demon wheel? The soul-devouring divine emperor exclaimed. The heaven-devouring demon wheel was the ultimate treasure left behind by the founder of Daluo Tiangong during its glory days. A 6th-level divine weapon. Legend has it that the first palace master of Daluo Tiangong used it to kill 3 heavenly venerables. Back then, it was the Golden Age, and the spirit realm was crawling with venerables. He made a name for himself, and that's how Daluo Tiangong built its legacy. But after he died, the Golden Age faded, venerables became scarce, and Daluo Tiangong went without a saint emperor for generations. Naturally, the heaven-devouring demon wheel was locked away, gathering dust, nobody expected the current palace master to be carrying it, let alone busting it out now. The soul-devouring divine emperor and the moon divine emperor stared at the Daluo palace master, now radiating Saint Emperor level energy. Clutching the heaven-devouring demon wheel, they swallowed hard and instinctively backed away, putting some distance between themselves and him. The Daluo palace master's current power was downright terrifying, their fear seemed to please him. He glared at Changqing in the sword formation, his voice dripping with arrogance. You should feel honored to die by the heaven-devouring demon wheel, the ancestral weapon of my Daluo palace. Back in the day, the first palace master used this thing to slay heavenly venerables. Okay, so he wasn't exactly on that level. But with the blood-burning soul pill, I can activate the heaven-devouring demon wheel. My power's enough to rival a real heavenly venerable. Everyone listening's heart skipped a beat. Venerable realm was practically a myth in the spirit realm these days, never mind heavenly venerables, even Xuanzuan, one level below, hadn't been seen in ages, and now, the Daluo palace master was claiming to be on par with one. Even the misty moon and soul-devouring divine emperors were scared stiff. They'd never seen a heavenly venerable, but judging by the Daluo palace master's aura, which dwarfed theirs, he might not be bluffing. Way up in the sky, Xianhuang couldn't help but sigh. This is the advantage of a powerful lineage. Even if they've fallen on hard times, they can still pull out a game-changer when they need it. She felt a wave of despair. Looks like she was going to die here. Just when she thought she was back on her feet, she was staring death in the face again. Still, she didn't blame Changqing. He'd already blown her away with his strength, the immortal sword formation, taking on 4 divine emperors single-handedly, defeating the 4 big shots, forcing them to rely on artifacts and ancestral weapons. All with the power of a god king. It was unprecedented. Shocking. Changqing had done his best, he just couldn't overcome his opponent's advantage. Besides, Changqing had given her her life. How could she blame him? Daoyu, I'll do everything I can to give you a chance. Don't hesitate. The Queen Xian took a deep breath, focusing her energy. She wasn't promising to help Changqing escape anymore. The enemy was practically a heavenly venerable. Even if she went all out, burning every last bit of her essence, she couldn't stop that attack. All she could do was buy Changqing a moment to escape. Think you can run? Think again. Seeing the shift in Queen Xian's energy, the Daluo palace master smirked and waved his hand. Clang! He activated the heaven-devouring demon wheel. Holy Emperor-level energy poured into it, like a river turned into a raging flood. The 36 black blades flared to life, and a horrifying black mist started to spread, threatening to consume everything. As the last blade lit up, the black mist solidified. The heaven-devouring demon wheel had become a swirling vortex of darkness, 10 feet across, silently rotating. It was like a black hole, sucking in all the surrounding energy. They say when the first Daluo palace master used this thing, it blotted out the sun and the moon. I've always wanted to see it. He smiled, watching the black mass rise in the distance. I'm not as good as the old man, but killing you two will be easy. He wasn't worried about damaging their souls. The demon will would destroy their bodies, but the souls would be absorbed into the weapon. That would make it even easier to torture Changqing. Come die! The Daluo palace master roared, slashing his hand down. The black mass shot across the sky like a meteor, heading straight for Changqing and Xianhuang. Everywhere it passed, the black mist darkened the sky. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a wave of destruction. There was no dodging it. Nowhere to run. Darkness devoured everything. So this is the power of a heavenly venerable. The heaven-devouring demon wheel and its infinite darkness were overwhelming. Even the divine Emperor Xianhuang couldn't bring herself to resist. It's over. Some cultivators sighed, attracting murmurs of agreement. It was the end. No matter how strong Changqing was, he couldn't survive this. A shame to see such talent go to waste, but it's all Changqing's fault. Others sneered, their eyes drifting toward the Gu family in Jianglincheng. They'd be a feast for the vultures. The Gu family was done. Their power would be meaningless to Daluo Tiangong, but surrounding factions would gladly take whatever they could get. But most just shook their heads. Gu Changqing had been too bright. Given time, he could have become something truly special. Still, this was a more realistic outcome. This world is full of geniuses, but you have to control your ego. Only by being humble can you have a day when you can truly be as bright as the sun in the sky. Otherwise, you will be like Gu Changqing, like a comet, spinning up and disappearing. One old man was practically lecturing his family. The Daluo palace master was practically salivating, waiting to claim Gu Changqing's soul and steal his sword formation. There was no chance of Gu Changqing pulling a miracle out of his hat. Against someone with the power of a heavenly venerable, there is no chance, that he was absolutely certain. He might not have met a real heavenly venerable, but he knew he was strong. But just as he spoke. Enough to be on par with Tianzuan? I don't buy it. Chapter 93. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the distance, Gu Changqing's voice echoed. Immediately, under the stunned gazes of everyone present, a tear appeared in the void beside Gu Changqing. An old man in a grey robe stepped out. He was unassuming, his aura tightly controlled. But his eyes, they were bottomless, like galaxies stretched into eternity. The moment he appeared, he moved in front of Gu Changqing, shielding him. A split second later, the sky-devouring demon wheel, surrounded by a terrifying sea of black fog, slammed toward Gu Changqing. But before it could reach him, the grey-robed old man casually snatched the blade wheel and its endless fog out of the air. Then, crack. A flash of light pulsed in the old man's hand, and immense pressure radiated from him. With a barely perceptible tremor, the endless black fog around the devouring heavenly demon wheel shattered. The old man easily collected and refined the wheel, absorbing it into his body. The remnants on it, the will of the first Daluo heavenly palace master and the spiritual mark left by the current palace master, were annihilated the instant the black fog dissipated. Thanks to this grey-robed figure who had suddenly appeared, the whole process was over in a blink. The devouring heavenly demon wheel, the Daluo palace master's trump card, was casually pocketed and refined by the old man next to Gu Changqing. Everyone watched, eyes wide, like they'd seen a ghost. What the hell just happened? Someone just took the devouring heaven demon wheel. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The Daluo palace master exclaimed, his voice laced with disbelief. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. How could you just take my devouring heaven demon wheel? He'd boasted that his strength rivaled a heavenly venerable, a major exaggeration, but according to the records within Daluo heavenly palace, even his recent attack shouldn't have been so easily blocked by an ordinary Xuanzuan. Yet, not only was it blocked, but the devouring heaven demon wheel was now gone. Just how powerful was this old man? Mid-stage Xuanzuan? Late stage? Peak? Or, a heavenly venerable? Silence descended on the battlefield. Every eye was glued to the grey-robed old man next to Gu Changqing. Unconcealed awe filled the air. This grey-robed old man was, of course, Gu Changqing's Tianlian god puppet, a treasure intrinsically linked to Gu Changqing's Tianlian saint body. This puppet's strength scaled with Gu Changqing's, but its baseline was already terrifying. Even though Gu Changqing was only in the early stages of the god-king realm, this Tianlian god puppet was already a true early-stage heavenly venerable. Dealing with a so-called venerable relying on pills and magical artifacts was child's play. Even if the Daluo palace master popped another pill and boosted himself to the Xuanzuan realm, the Tianlian god puppet could still handle him. Not far away, Xian Huang, who had prepared for a desperate last stand, was stunned. He recovered and offered Gu Changqing a wry smile. Looking at Gu Changqing, he couldn't help feeling betrayed. So, he never needed me. All this time, he had been worried about Gu Changqing, planning to fight for Gu Changqing's survival. Sensing Xian Huang's gaze, Gu Changqing felt a twinge of embarrassment, but this wasn't the time for explanations. His gaze fixed on the Daluo palace master, and a sneer played on his lips. Daluo palace master, with your meager abilities, you dare claim to be on par with a heavenly venerable? I'd say you're barely a Xuanzuan. Gu Changqing's blatant mockery finally snapped the Daluo palace master out of his shock. Looking at the Tianlian god puppet, he stumbled backward. As for the soul-devouring god emperor of the soul-devouring sect and the Longyue god emperor invited by Hua Liani of the Hua family, they reacted even more drastically than the Daluo palace master, especially the dark moon god emperor. He abandoned the Hua family's little princess. With a flick of his sleeve, he transformed into a beam of light and sped away. The soul-devouring god emperor was even more direct, detonating his soul-devouring mist. It scattered into hundreds of souls, each fleeing in a different direction. He would undoubtedly suffer severe damage to the soul-devouring fog he had meticulously cultivated, but if even one soul escaped, he could survive and possibly rebuild in the future. Heavy losses. Are you kidding me? The grey-robed old man Gu Changqing had invited, even if he wasn't a heavenly venerable, was a genuine Xuanzuan realm powerhouse. And not just any Xuanzuan. He had stolen the Daluo Heavenly Palace's ancestral weapon, the heaven-devouring demon will. 2 perfected god emperors didn't stand a chance, even 20 wouldn't be enough. They would be doomed against such a force. Think you can just run? Gu Changqing watched the fleeing god emperor giants with a cold smile. Chapter 94. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The heavenly refining god puppet's uses were precious, so every attack had to count. No holding back. Obliterate every enemy in my path. Gu Changqing commanded sternly. Understood, master. The heavenly refining god puppet responded emotionlessly. Instantly, it shot forward like a rock spreading its wings, overtaking the fleeing moon god emperor of the Hua family. I'm an elder of the Hua family. We have a saint emperor. Spare me, and my entire family will serve you. Desperate, the moon god emperor begged. His arrogance vanished. The heavenly refining god puppet ignored him and simply raised a hand, bringing up a saint emperor against a master of the venerable realm. Ridiculous. With a casual palm strike, the giant who once dominated the spirit realm, a divine emperor at his peak, was pulverized before he could even scream. The surrounding onlookers winced. He was a divine emperor, for crying out loud, one of the top dogs in the entire spirit realm, and now, wiped out like an ant. Is that the venerable's true power? That the Daluo palace master and his deputy were terrified. The soul-devouring divine emperor, split into over 100 souls and desperately fleeing, shuddered and burned his spiritual power, trying to escape even further, but the heavenly refining god puppet merely flicked his sleeve. Boom. Starred at a terrifyingly powerful devouring force, far exceeding anything the Daluo palace master had managed with the devouring heaven demon wheel, erupted from his sleeve. In moments, every last one of the soul-devouring divine emperor's fragmented souls was sucked in and refined, leaving nothing behind. Another divine emperor, gone. The 2 palace masters and Yu Baifeng were speechless, seeing the heavenly refining god puppet's gaze shift towards them. The Daluo palace master bowed low, trying to beg Gu Changqing for mercy, but Gu Changqing wouldn't give them the chance. Bang. 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 The heavenly refining god puppet raised his hand, and 3 beams of light fell like meteors. They struck Yu Baifeng and the 2 palace masters, incinerating them instantly, turning them into dust. Gulp. Watching the Daluo Tiangong people reduced to nothing, the cultivators present felt their throats go dry. This outcome was beyond their wildest dreams. If they hadn't seen it, they wouldn't have believed it. The dominant Daluo Tiangong, its leaders, and its divine emperor giants, all wiped out so easily, like crushing bugs. But then again, considering the Longyue divine emperor and the soul-devouring divine emperor's even more gruesome demise, maybe this wasn't so surprising after all. The shock dulled a bit. They were numb. The most stunned and disoriented were the Jiang family. They'd hoped to witness the Gu family's downfall, but instead, they'd seen the Gu family's real power. Instead of watching the Gu family crumble, they discovered the Gu family's trump card. The Gu family could even crush the Daluo palace, a force the Jiang family couldn't even dream of challenging. How could they not be shocked? How could they not regret it? If they'd just been a little nicer to the Gu family, even a little courtesy, keeping the lines of communication open, with the Gu family's current strength, the benefits for the Jiang family would have been immense. Dominate Han Qin. Maybe even dominate the southern part of the spirit realm, or the whole thing. Now. Just a pipe dream. And the cultivators from the Han and Qin empires murmured, their eyes filled with awe as they looked at Gu Changqing on the sea of clouds. After today, who'll dare say the Gu family has fallen? Outsiders might not know the Gu family's past, but many in the Han and Qin empires did. They spoke with a sigh, their words hit the Jiang family like a punch to the gut, filling Jiang Yunshan, Jiang Baiwei, and the others with regret that would linger for a long, long time. The entire Jiang family was kicking themselves, but Gu Changqing ignored them. Having dealt with the invaders, he turned to Xian Huang with a smile. "Friend Xian Huang, I might need your help again." "Oh. What do you need?" Xian Huang raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. Gu Changqing was stronger than her, and he had that mysterious grey-robed protector. What could she possibly do? Gu Changqing pointed to the Daluo Tiangong's abandoned spiritual boat. The Daluo Tiangong, after this, their strongest leaders are gone. Even if some divine emperors remain, they're no match for you. I'd like you to completely subdue the Daluo Tiangong and take over their legacy. From now on, there will be no more Daluo Tiangong. Only the Xiantian Palace. He had taken out the Daluo Tiangong's leaders, but the resources, the spiritual veins, the mines, they were a goldmine for the Gu family, so Gu Changqing arranged for Xian Huang to take over. It prevented waste and allowed the Gu family to expand its influence into the central spirit realm, using the Daluo Tiangong's assets, way faster than building from scratch. If the survivors are smart, they'll fall in line. If not. Gu Changqing warned. Xian Huang smiled. Don't worry. Those who resist will be joining their loyal palace master soon enough. Xian Huang accepted the task and left. Gu Changqing's instructions had, in a few words, annihilated the Daluo Tiangong. Those powerful figures who'd been persuaded to help the Daluo Tiangong felt a bitter taste when Gu Changqing looked their way. The folks who had been trying to stand strong suddenly felt their knees go weak. Before he could even speak, they knelt. Evergreen God King. We messed up. But we didn't hurt your family. Please forgive us. Forgive you. Gu Changqing's expression was cold. What price are you willing to pay? Price? We didn't do anything, one emperor stammered. You think I'm an idiot? Gu Changqing glared. If he hadn't used the Zhuxian sword formation and shown his power, these people would have just stood by. It all came down to his strength. Innocence for doing nothing. Does that sound reasonable? If you want to be innocent, go back in time and refuse the Daluo Palace Master's invitation. But can you? Gu Changqing waved a hand. I'll give you 7 days to raise a satisfactory compensation. Or I'll personally visit your clans. The masters of the spirit realm were near tears, but with the heavenly refining god puppet looming, they didn't dare protest. They left, humiliated, to find a way to pay Gu Changqing. Their families would hear about this on the way home. After all that, Gu Changqing sensed an unfamiliar aura behind him. He turned and remembered, Luo Xinyue, the former spirit-ranking leader, was still there. He turned to the heroic and beautiful girl, curiosity in his eyes. Miss Luo Xinyue, isn't it? What brings you here? Chapter 95. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Gu Changqing's soft tone, Luo Xinyue couldn't help but twitch her mouth, forcing an awkward laugh. No, it's cool, I'm just passing through, haha. Yeah right. After seeing Gu Changqing's sword formation take down those emperors, and knowing he had that Tianlian god puppet, basically a venerable level bodyguard, even a martial arts nut like Luo Xinyue wouldn't be dumb enough to challenge him. She loved a good fight, but she wasn't suicidal. The only reason the Daluo Tiangong Palace Master even stood a chance was because he pulled out all the stops, chugging a magic pill and whipping out some ancient family heirloom. Even without the venerable puppet, Gu Changqing could have wiped the floor with those 4 emperors. After the awkward small talk, Luo Xinyue cut things short and bolted out of Jianglin City. She had to get back to her people and spill the tea ASAP. And it wasn't just Luo Xinyue. As soon as the dust settled in Jianglin City, every single monk who'd watched the showdown was scrambling to get the news back to their sects and families. Lickety-split, especially those big shots from the spiritual domain's heartland who'd come to back up the Daluo Tiangong. they practically redlined their spirit boats, terrified of missing Gu Changqing's 7-day deadline and with their return, plus Xianhuang marching into the spiritual domain center and planting the Gu family, and Xiantian Palace, flags all over the place, he took over Daluo Tiangong's turf with a vengeance. The whole spiritual domain was in an uproar. In the spiritual domain's heartland, at the Hua family's ancestral hall, as one of the few Saint Emperor families in the entire spiritual domain, they were kind of a big deal. Even the God Emperor big boys had to tread lightly around the Hua family. That's because they had a supreme ancestor, a top-dog Saint Emperor realm powerhouse. Nobody in the spirit realm would dare mess with a Hua family servant, let alone a Hua family manager in the God King realm could make an Emperor-level strongman sweat. But right now, the Hua family was drowning in a heavy, solemn vibe, and it all boiled down to this: yesterday, in the family's ancestral hall, the soul tablet of the eldest daughter, Hualiani, had shattered. Just like that. Find out who did this. Who killed my daughter, Hualiani? I want him torn limb from limb. Hua Tianxian, the head honcho of the Hua family, was a God Emperor heavyweight himself. He was barely holding it together, his words dripping with barely contained rage. Master, we've got something. A steward nervously approached Hua Tianxian and respectfully handed over the intel. The eldest miss went to Daluo Palace a few days ago, and headed south with the young master of Daluo Palace, Yu Baifeng. Rumor has it, they were going after the Gu family, down south, in the Han and Qin Empire. Supposedly, the Gu family iced Yu Baifeng's sister, Yu Lingxian. Some rednecks from the Han and Qin Empire took out my daughter. The steward barely got the words out. Behind Hua Tianxian, a woman decked out in fancy clothes and oozing elegance whirled around, her eyes blazing with murderous intent. What are you waiting for? Send the troops. Wipe the Han Qin Empire off the map. I want every soul in that Han Qin Empire. Cultivator, commoner, doesn't matter, they all go down with my daughter. Madam, it wasn't the whole Han Qin Empire, just the Gu family cultivators hanging out there. That the steward was sweating bullets, scrambling to clarify, but the Hua family's wife wasn't having it. She glared at Hua Tianxian. Tianxian, are you backing this or what? Hua Tianxian was already plenty ticked off, but his wife wanting to nuke the entire Han Qin Empire struck him as a tad extreme. But, seeing the fire in her eyes, he caved. Yeah, he had other kids, a bunch of sons from his concubines, but Hualiani was his only legitimate daughter, so yeah, she had a point about being pissed. As for the rest of the Han Qin Empire, collateral damage. If they wanted to point fingers, blame the Gu family. Birds of a feather, and all that. Hua Tianxian opened his mouth, ready to give the order, but before he could even get a word out, poof, a figure materialized in the hall, radiating a godlike pressure that slammed into everyone, instantly silencing the near-hysterical Hua family wife and snapping Hua Tianxian to attention. They both scrambled to bow, oozing respect. My child/daughter-in-law pays respects to the ancestor. That it was the Hua family's big kahuna, a Saint Emperor realm titan whose power knew no bounds. The Hua family's wife was ecstatic to see the ancestor emerge from seclusion. She figured he was there to avenge her daughter. But before she could even open her mouth, the Hua family's ancestor dropped a bomb. This ends here. I don't want to hear another word about wiping out the Han Qin Empire or destroying the Gu family. Furthermore, he didn't even glance at the Hua family's wife, instead focusing on Patriarch Hua Tianxian. Tianxian, you assemble a delegation, pack up some seriously impressive gifts, head to the Han Qin Empire, and apologize to the Gu family. Personally. This needs to happen ASAP. Got it? What? Between the Hua family head and his wife, they were stunned. Even the stewards and worshippers were floored, their jaws hanging open. It didn't seem possible that their daughter gets knocked off, and they're supposed to say, sorry. The Hua family's wife was ready to blow, but Hua Tianxian cut her off. He was quicker on the uptake and saw the big picture. Father, is the other side that powerful? The Hua family ancestor turned on his heel, leaving them with one word, venerable, that one word hit them like a thunderclap. Hua Tianxian and his wife were staggering. It took them a long time to come back to reality. A venerable, across the spiritual realm, he is a supreme existence, a venerable. Their Hua family had one saint emperor ancestor. How could they risk crossing a venerable? Forget revenge. Better to cut their losses and try for another kid. Fast forward 3 months, the Gu family buzz in the spirit realm had simmered down from a full boil to a simmer, but when people spoke of the Gu family, respect was the common flavor. The Gu family was riding high. The Hua family and a bunch of other powers sent emissaries loaded with gifts and apologies to the Heartland. Emperor Xian whipped the Xian palace into shape, turning them into the Gu family's vanguard. The Gu family were moving like they owned the spirit realm, but the Gu family didn't much care about those games. Right now, the core members were following Gu Changqing and Jiang Lianxin, plus Gu Yunxi and Gu Qingchen, into the Dream Spring for a thorough soul cleansing. The Dream Spring was the real deal, a treasure left by the ancients. Gu Changqing was blown away by the sheer spiritual juice packed into that place. His cultivation was rocketing up. Gu Changqing was in his groove. That his eyebrows shot up. He could feel his blood surging. His bloodline getting purer, denser. His strength was spiking again. Is this a bloodline awakening? Gu Changqing was surprised. He wasn't alone in the Dream Spring. Gu Yuan and the other core Gu family members, plus Gu Yunxi and Gu Qingchen, were all getting pumped up. They all had the sign of a Saint clan bloodline awakening, but it always took someone hitting the Emperor realm to kick that off. Gu Changqing was a monster in a fight, but he was still a long way from Emperor. Looks like someone in the Gu family broke through to Emperor before I did. Gu Changqing chuckled, curiosity burning in his eyes. He could tell it wasn't anyone from the Jianglinqing Gu family, or Gu Qing'er's gang back on Wangqin Island. It had to be a long-lost branch, lost in some backwater of the spirit realm, or maybe even lost outside it. Gu Changqing didn't blink at that. The Gu family used to be huge, sprawling across a zillion regions. Some of those bloodlines were bound to go walkabout. He figured he'd be the one to break the ice and reawaken the Gu family. Blood, but someone beat him to the punch. Well, good for them. Looks like some of my Gu family are doing alright. Not every branch is as washed up as the Jianglinqing and Wangqin Island clans used to be. The Saint clan blood hasn't died out. Gu Changqing smiled, shook off the distractions, and settled back into his training while Gu Changqing continued to train. Qianyu, in the Nanxian Divine Continent, at the City Lord's mansion in Sangming King City, the Gu family was celebrating. Congratulations, ancestor, on breaking into the imperial realm. Reviving our Gu family's Saint clan blood. The Sangming City Gu family kids were losing it, kneeling on the ground and facing the depths of the City Lord's mansion. Their eyes were shining with a happiness that couldn't be hidden. And in the depths of the City Lord's mansion, inside the Gu family ancestral hall, an old man with white hair and beard, who looked almost 1,000 years old, slowly stood up. With every step he took, the breath of aging subsided a little, and his hunched body straightened a little. When he walked to the main entrance of the ancestral hall, his body still looked old, but his vigor and energy were through the roof. His eyes were sharp and piercing. His voice boomed, resonating everywhere. Spread the word. Today, I, Gu Nantian, step into the imperial realm. Reviving our Saint clan's blood. The Sangming Gu family is now the Gu family's main line, and being the main line means stepping up. 36 elders and 72 prodigies will enter the ancestral temple, take our holy artifacts, and set off today to seek out our lost bloodlines. Find the gifted ones, bring them back here, and groom them to help our Gu clan rise again. Establish an empire. But no forced recruitment. If our prodigies don't want to come, leave them be. Give them supplies and let them flourish where they are. The Gu clan of old is gone. Today, we're united. Understand, that Sangming Gu family kids lost their minds. Bowing low to the ground, 36 elders and 72 prodigies shot up, eyes gleaming. This was the first big mission since the ancestors' Emperor realm breakthrough. If they nailed this, they'd be set for life. The group nabbed their holy gear, paid their respects to the ancestor, grabbed the elixirs and treasures they'd be handing out to the weaker branches, plus skills and tools for good measure, and piled into their spirit boats, setting sail at once. Back at Meng Yuquan, boom, an aura of power exploded. Gu Changqing beamed. After all that time in the dream spring, he'd broken through to God-King perfection, just one step away from Emperor. Unfortunately, his time at Meng Yuquan was done. If he'd had another month, he'd have blown past that Emperor barrier for sure. Still, he was happy with his gains. Breaking into God-King perfection pumped up the Tianlian Shinkue too, making it skyrocket to the level of a Tianzuan. Gu Yuan and everyone else had made serious progress. Jiang Lianqin, his wife, was already in the late stage of Xian Wang. She was also showing about time for his third daughter to come into the world. Xian Huang had also regained a lot of her lost strength. Not quite at her peak, but way stronger than when she faced Daoyuo Tiangong. She was back in the late stage of Shenhuang. Gu Yuan was busy sketching out plans to send a team to the Hui clan to find out who had broken through to Emperor and get in touch, but he didn't get far. Whoosh, a jade talisman zipped towards him. News from Xian Tiangong's goons, who were digging into the Nalan family on Gu Changqing's orders. They found a list of the top prodigies in Qianyu. What good is that going to do? Gu Changqing was baffled. Then he unfurled the list. And his pupils shrank, because right there, in the number 5 spot, Qian list 5th, Nalan Qingyuan. Gu Changqing's eyes flashed. Nalan Qingyuan didn't ring a bell but swapped the last name to Gu, and it was a match to his sister's name. Gu Yuan practically bounced off the walls. Qing'er, this Nalan Qingyuan could be your sister. Gu Changqing nodded. He had never met her, but a titan like the Nalan family taking her in meant she had to be something special. Qianyu was one of the richest and biggest zones in Nanxian Shenzhou. The spiritual domain was some backwater podunk that barely scraped into the middle class, and the emperor was just a venerable, and the god emperor and saint emperor was the king. But Qianyu? You needed a venerable to be a big shot. His sister was ranked 5th in a powerhouse like Qianyu. That tracked. I'm going to hit up Xiantian Palace and ask who leaked the info to see if they have anything else. I'm coming with you. Gu Yuan was too worked up to worry about an emperor-level branch clan. His son had a venerable-level bodyguard. Finding his long-lost wife and daughter was more important. Gu Changqing got his dad's excitement and agreed. He asked Lianqin to take the kids home. Then, with Xianhuang and Gu Yuan, he zoomed off to Xiantian Palace for more intel. All three were pumped and on the move. Speeding up, they soon rolled up to Xiantian Palace, cornered the Imperial Realm blabbermouth who'd snagged the news, and grilled him. Sadly, he was just a low-level grunt, and all he had was the Qianyu list. Well, at least it's something to go on. Qianyu's a big, well-connected place, light years ahead of my Lingyu. I'm bound to find something. Gu Changqing made up his mind and took his bummed-out dad and Emperor Xian and booked it back home. Gu Changqing had just made his decision and packed his bags. At the same time, back in the Han and Qin empires, above the sea of clouds, a crack suddenly ripped open in space, and a spirit boat zoomed out of it. The flag on the spirit boat snapped in the wind, displaying 4 massive characters: Tsangming Gu family. The holy artifact is singing that there's Gu family blood around here. Let me get a fix. Yep, looks like some dump called Jianglin City. On the spirit boat, a red-robed old guy stroked his beard and scanned the holographic map, eyes glinting. Change of course. No point checking out the rest of this hole. Go straight to Jianglin City and see how our branch is holding up. If anyone's been messing with our Gu family, we'll give them what for. And help out our Jianglin branch. Yes. The whole Gu family crew roared in approval, eyes burning with passion and self-belief, barreling toward the Jianglin Gu family. Chapter 96. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jianglin City, here we are. Let's go. The Tsangming Gu clan spiritual boat, its flag snapping in the wind, swiftly arrived over Jianglin City and hovered in the clouds. Gu Hong, the leader of the Tsangming Gu clan, calmly directed several clan monks to guard the boat. Then, he disembarked with a group of young people. These weren't the Tsangming Gu clan's homegrown prodigies. Instead, they were talented kids Gu Hong had scouted from across the spiritual realm. Even from beyond it, during his travels, plucked from other branches of the Gu family. Reaching the Gu family's entrance, Gu Hong announced his presence, releasing a wave of his power and stating his name. Hearing that a fellow member of the Gu clan, no less, was at the gate, Jianglin Gu family servants rushed Gu Hong to the reception room and quickly alerted their elder. Currently, the senior members of the Gu family, Jiang Lianqin, Bai Hang, and several younger elders, were in seclusion, having just returned from Menjiuquan. The only elder available was one whose age made further progress difficult, so he'd generously given his Menjiuquan slot to a younger elder, leaving him to oversee affairs. A Gu clan cultivator is visiting. And a king-level master at that. Hearing the servant's report, the elder was taken aback. Remembering the sudden awakening of the sacred bloodline a few days prior, he had an idea and vaguely guessed Gu Hong's identity. He immediately asked the servant to show him inside the reception room. The talented kids Gu Hong had chosen from other branches took in Jianglin City. Many felt a connection to this Jianglin branch, sensing that it was just like their own family, another one of those isolated branches struggling to gain a foothold in some backwater, while the younger generation felt kinship. Gu Hong felt the opposite. After all, the odds of a true genius emerging from a branch like this were slim. Even as an elder tasked with guiding the main Sangming branch and providing aid to weaker ones, he couldn't deny that the number and talent level of the children he brought back reflected on his own merit. Gu Hong understood the reasoning, but he was still a little disheartened. However, he quickly shook it off. Seeing the Gu family elder enter the reception room, Gu Hong immediately stood and bowed respectfully. Despite his king-level status, he treated the elder with deference, saying, "Brother, please forgive my intrusion." Seeing Gu Hong's respect, the elder was surprised, but he examined Gu Hong carefully, especially when their eyes met. Both felt the resonance of the Saint clan bloodline within them, instantly forging a connection. The great elder spoke immediately, exchanging pleasantries with Gu Hong. Gu Hong cut to the chase, explaining his purpose. "You want to bring the geniuses from each branch back to the main line for training." Hearing Gu Hong's sincere words, the great elder felt a headache coming on. In the past, before the Jianglin Gu family had risen to prominence, he would have been ecstatic at such an offer. He'd have rounded up every promising kid without waiting for the master and young master to return, letting Gu Hong have his pick. But now, frankly, the Sangming main line didn't hold that much appeal for the Jianglin Gu family, just a newly minted emperor. Not long ago, Gu Changqing had slaughtered 4 god emperor giants. With such a record, the elder feared that even if the younger generation passed Gu Hong's talent test, they wouldn't be interested in following him. Thinking this, the elder tactfully said, "This is a significant matter. It's not a refusal, but I can't make the call. We should wait for the family head and young master to return before making any arrangements." Hearing the elder's words, Gu Hong frowned slightly, chalking it up to the same short-sightedness he'd seen in other branches, clinging to the one genius they had, unwilling to let them go. It was only human nature. Gu Hong felt both annoyed and amused. I'm from the main Sangming branch, with an emperor ancestor leading us. Did they think he was trying to steal their genius? Still, he understood where these branch elders were coming from, having encountered similar situations before. He was able to handle the elder's mindset pretty well. Immediately, Gu Hong said with a smile, "It's okay." Before this trip, the ancestor of the main branch had already said, "For talents from the branch, if they are willing to come, we will do our best to cultivate them. If they are not willing, we will not force them. Moreover, after our main branch cultivates him, he can return to the branch at any time to give back to the branch family he came from after he has achieved success in the future. In addition, according to the level of their talent test, even if they are unwilling to go to the main branch, we will also give them some elixirs and spiritual medicines, so that the little guy's talents can be better utilized." Gu Hong looked at the elder and said sincerely, "So, brother, don't worry about anything. Even if the head and young master of the Jianglin branch family are not here, let me test the children of the Jianglin branch family first. If they pass the test, wait for the head of your branch family to return and make a decision. If you agree, I can take the little guys away directly." Gu Hong said, and then stopped talking, but the meaning was already very clear. If Jianglin's branch family, no one could pass, then he would not stay here for long, so as not to arouse suspicion and waste time. This, okay. Listening to Gu Hong's words, the corner of the elder's mouth twitched. He originally wanted to give Gu Hong face, otherwise, when the time comes, the little guys at home will pass the test one by one, and they are unwilling to go to the main vein. Then where will this enthusiastic main vein elder put his face? You know, Jiang Lin's Gu family can now be called a venerable family. Going to an imperial family is a real waste of talent. The little guys may be young, but in this regard, each of them is extremely accurate. It's just that seeing Gu Hong like this, he completely misunderstood what he meant. Pondering for a while after that, the elder nodded helplessly and agreed with Gu Hong's statement. After all, Gu Hong had said so much. If he refused again, it would be really not giving Gu Hong face. If it really doesn't work, he will tell the little guy that after passing the test, he doesn't need to rush to express his opinion whether to go or not, and everything will be decided after the master and the young master come back. Thinking of this, the elder of the Gu family nodded slightly, agreeing with Gu Hong's statement, and arranged for people to call all the little guys over. The leaders were Gu Ling, Gu Yuan, and Gu Wangxian, the three young leaders of the Gu family except Yun Shi's siblings. As for Yun Shi's siblings, the elder I didn't even call them, because of their talent, they didn't need any test at all. Besides, even if they really passed, the head of the family and the young master would probably not agree to let them go. As for Gu Ling and the other two, the elder wanted to take this opportunity to see how talented they were. The three of them had also entered the dream spring with Gu Changqing and others before. However, compared with the progress of Gu Yunxi and Gu Qingchen, the improvement of their cultivation was not so exaggerated. They just barely reached the 8th and 9th levels of the true spirit. But after they had cleansed their essence and marrow, their aptitude and potential were greatly improved. Small progress can be verified with this opportunity. Seeing the kids arrive, Gu Hong didn't waste time. With a flick of his sleeve, a holy feather floated out, hovering before him. This feather was a sacred artifact brought from the Changqing Gu family. The Changqing Gu family had 108 such feathers, used to sense the Gu family bloodline. This one, shimmering with starlight, could directly test the talent of the Gu family children. This feather can light up a total of 81 stars. Lighting up 10 stars is passing 20 stars, and you'll be accepted as a personal disciple by a god king from our Changqing main line. What about lighting up 30 stars? Hearing this, Gu Ling and the other Jianglin city juniors were nonchalant. In contrast, the geniuses selected from other branches behind Gu Hong couldn't help but speak up. 30 stars. You'd be personally cultivated by an emperor-level ancestor of the Changqing main line. Our contemporary saints and saintesses have only lit up 39 or 38 stars, Gu Hong said with a smile. Hearing this, the other branch family juniors were stunned. Among them, the best was a girl named Gu Qianxue, and she'd only lit up 22 stars. And Gu Qianxue came from one of the strongest branches among them. The others mostly came from backwater families like the Jianglin Gu. Gu Qianxue's branch was even on the rise. While they lacked a god king, they had a heavenly king ancestor, which allowed Gu Qianxue to achieve so much. But even so, the gap between them and the Changqing mainline saints was vast. The branch family geniuses yearned for the Changqing mainline even more, and Gu Ling and the others rubbed their hands in anticipation. They didn't care about the Changqing mainline, but they were eager to see how they measured up against these self-proclaimed Changqing saints. Just as they were about to step forward for the test, Gu Qingchen's curious voice echoed from outside. "Grandpa, what's going on here? I saw Sister Ling, Brother Yuan, and the others came over. Why didn't you call us?" Chapter 97. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What's all the fun stuff, and you didn't invite us? Grandpa's playing favorites. Qingchen, Yinshi, what are you two doing here? Gu Qingchen and Gu Yinshi peeked into the hall, making all the branch family geniuses behind Gu Hong stare in surprise, especially the girls, like Gu Qianxue, who covered their mouths, sighing at how cute and beautiful the siblings were. They're so adorable. I can only imagine how amazing their parents must be. The branch family geniuses greeted Gu Qingchen and Gu Yunxi enthusiastically. The siblings were startled, but luckily Gu Hong coughed. snapping Gu Qianxue and the others back to attention, and they all regained their serious expressions. Gu Qingchen and Gu Yunxi quickly bowed to Gu Hong and the others, then ran to the end of the line. The elder was speechless. Do these two even know what's going on? Just jumping into line randomly, but the little ones didn't care. With so many people lined up, there had to be something cool happening. Better get in line first. The elder smiled wryly and shook his head. Forget it. It's just a formality. If they want to play, let them be. Next, one by one, the young disciples of the Gu family stepped forward, took the sky feather from Gu Hong, and channeled their spiritual power into it. Unfortunately, most of their talents only lit up 5 or 6 stars. 7 stars was pretty rare. Even Gu Ling, Gu Yuan, and Gu Wangxian could only manage 9 stars. They'd achieved that much in Menjiuquan, thanks to its cleansing and marrow scouring effects, improving their potential. Otherwise, their aptitude would be even worse. But the younger generation wasn't discouraged. They knew their limitations. They might be okay in Jianglin City, but out there, people had far greater talents, so they trained hard. They made up for their lack of talent through sheer effort. Especially after Changqing's rise, Gu Ling and the others had doubled down on their training. They wanted to live up to the opportunities and elixirs he'd given them. As for failing the test and not being able to go to the Cangming main vein, they didn't even care. If they couldn't go, so what? They didn't want to go. Even if they passed, staying with the clan and following the young master was better than going to the Cangming main vein. Yep, looks like no one passed. The younger generation behind Gu Hong looked unsurprised. They expected the Jianglin branch to strike out, with no one passing, but Gu Ling and the others' reactions were unexpected. They didn't seem too disappointed, especially Gu Qianxue. She'd been the first to follow Gu Hong and guide the branches from all sides. She'd seen many branch family geniuses depressed, worried, even crying after failing the test. Failing meant losing the chance to join an emperor-level force and become a chosen child. Even the calm ones were obviously faking it, but Gu Ling and the others weren't pretending. They genuinely didn't care about the test results. Maybe they're too naive to realize what a huge opportunity they're missing. That was the only explanation. Gu Hong ignored the expressions of Gu Ling and the others. He sighed when he saw the results. No one passed. He had expected it. The requirement of lighting up 10 stars was a bit too high for a branch, but seeing the result, Gu Hong was still depressed. Just then, Gu Qingchen came hopping over from the end of the line. It's my turn. It's my turn. Grandpa, give me the feather. Gu Hong and the branch family geniuses snapped out of it, smiling at Gu Qingchen's innocent excitement. Gu Hong was touched and smiled. He handed the feather to Gu Qingchen. Okay. But if you don't pass, don't worry, little guy. You're still young. You'll grow and improve. The old man didn't want to hurt such a cute kid, so he told a kind little lie. But after hearing Gu Hong's words, the elder and Gu Ling and the others looked strange. Can't pass the test. What is Gu Hong talking about? It's normal that they can't pass. But Gu Qingchen, everyone shook their heads. Gu Qingchen placed his chubby little hand on the feather, and his spiritual power surged into it. Buzz. The feather hummed and trembled, and dazzling starlight appeared, turning into stars and lighting up. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10. Under the incredulous gaze of Gu Hong and the others, Gu Qingchen held the sky feather, serious-faced, his spiritual power surging. In just a few breaths, the sky feather lit up. 60 stars. 60 stars of talent. Chapter 98. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The audience was stunned. Gu Hong and the others gaped, staring at the sky feather in Gu Qingchen's hand. It glowed with starlight, encircled by 60 orbiting stars. The shock lingered even after the stars faded one by one. The Jianglin branch was supposed to be a lost cause, but this quirky kid who showed up out of nowhere was a total game changer. Nobody expected him to be so ridiculously talented. Gu Qianxue blinked, struggling to regain her composure. She'd always considered herself exceptional, even knowing that the Changqing main branch's prodigies had lit up 39 and 38 stars respectively. She wasn't fazed, figuring she could catch up with hard work. But Gu Qingchen, who she'd only thought was cute, not particularly gifted, after all, no Jianglinqing branch disciple had ever even hit 10 stars. His 60-star talent left this tough girl feeling completely outclassed. The younger disciples were a mess. Gu Hong was, naturally, even more shaken. Coming back to his senses, he forgot everything else, his mind echoing one thought. 60 stars. A 60-star genius? His voice dripped with disbelief. I discovered a monster like this. My Gu family, the Holy Clan, actually has hope for a comeback, that he nearly cheered out loud. Fortunately, his strength and composure kept him in check. He quickly asked, "Kid, what's your name? Your talent blows away even the top talents in the Changqing main branch. If you're willing to go to the main branch, I guarantee they'll make you a holy son." Gu Qingchen wasn't interested. He was just here to have fun, and politely declined, "Thanks, Grandpa, but I gotta ask my parents where I should train." "Sis, you're up." With a wave, Gu Qingchen called Gu Yunxi over. "Sis." Everyone's gaze shifted to Gu Yunxi. She stepped onto the stage, grabbing the sky feather from Gu Qingchen. Then, she channeled her spiritual power into it. Suddenly, the sky feather trembled, erupting in starlight. A strange energy rippled out, silencing the disciples, all eyes fixed on the feather. It was the same as when Gu Qingchen had powered it up before. But as for Gu Yunxi, stars appeared quickly, 10 stars, then 20, 30, 40. It soared past Gu Qingchen's 60, finally settling at 81 stars. A full-star genius? Gu Hong's eyes bugged out. He was losing it. He stared at Gu Yunxi like she was a ghost. This feather was a Gu family heirloom, a treasure crafted by a heavenly venerable patriarch during the clan's golden age. Lighting up every star meant Gu Yunxi's talent was truly unmatched. Even in the Gu family's most glorious past, she was a top-tier demon who could reach the venerable realm. Gu Yunxi, seeing everyone's shocked faces, smirked at her brother. "Get ready to live in my shadow forever, dweeb. Good kid. Good kid." Gu Hong was numb. Taking back the feather, his pupils widened. He saw a crack in the sacred feather. He looked at Gu Yunxi, hands on her hips, taunting her brother. He was horrified. The holy weapon was broken. What did it mean? It meant Gu Yunxi's talent wasn't just 81 stars, it's because the holy weapon was broken. 81 stars was the limit of the artifact, but not her potential. What kind of monster was she? He was both amazed and ecstatic. It really was. God bless the Gu family. God was helping the Gu family revive. First, the Changqing main branch ancestor hit the imperial realm. Then, this pair of siblings, diamonds in the rough, each more ridiculously talented than the other. For Gu Hong, it was a windfall beyond his wildest dreams. I wonder when the Jianglin branch head and young master will be back. Gu Hong was eager. He'd wait for the person in charge of the Jianglin branch to return and then discuss taking the Yunxi siblings back to the Changqing main branch, so the ancestor could mentor them, just as Gu Hong and the others were reeling from the siblings' talent. Figures appeared in the distance. Leading the pack was Emperor Xian, Shi, Gu Changqing, Gu Yuan, and the others were returning from Xiantian Palace, planning Gu Changqing's trip to Qianyu. Seeing an unfamiliar king-level aura at the Gu residence in Jianglin City, she frowned. Gu Hong also sensed the shift in the air and looked up at the figures appearing in the sky. His eyes landed on Emperor Xian, and his pupils shrank. Chapter 99. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The aura of a powerhouse at the Emperor realm is mysterious and intense. Think of it this way. A king realm powerhouse's aura is like mist or clouds, but an Emperor realm powerhouse's aura is like solid steel. Even a tiny sliver of it feels like a mountain, easily crushing any enemy below that level. That's how the Changqing Gu family's ancestor is, and right now, the impossibly beautiful woman floating on the sea of clouds is the same. In fact, Gu Hong sensed that her aura was even stronger than his own ancestors. Is this just an emperor realm powerhouse, or something even higher? Gu Hong's heart pounded, but what truly occupied his thoughts was Gu Changqing, standing behind Xian Huang. Even though Gu Changqing hadn't spoken to Xian Huang, Gu Hong felt it in his gut. This mysterious, emperor realm woman seemed to be following the young man. Who is this guy? How did he get an emperor realm powerhouse to follow him so respectfully? Gu Hong took a deep breath and spoke, bowing toward the sky. Greetings, senior. May I ask what brings you here? Senior. Hearing Gu Hong's words, Gu Qianxue and the other talented members of the branch family were stunned and stared at the sky in disbelief. If Gu Hong was calling them senior, then these people must be more than just king realm cultivators. Just as they were reeling from this, Gu Qingchen and Gu Yunxi, seeing their father, burst into cheers and flew toward Gu Changqing on a cloud. Dad! Grandpa! You're back! Huh! Gu Qingchen and Gu Yunxi's words hit Gu Hong and the others like a punch to the gut, their mouths dropping open. What did they just hear? This young man, treated with such respect by an emperor realm powerhouse, was the father and grandfather of the two geniuses from the Jianglin Gu family. That would make him the head and the young master of the Jianglin Gu family. No way. Just as Gu Hong was reeling from Gu Changqing's amazing reveal, he, Gu Qianxue and others suddenly came to their senses, and they shuddered involuntarily, looking at the Yunxi siblings standing on the clouds and happily approaching Gu Changqing, and finally realized a more serious problem. They're flying in the air. Those two kids are already king realm powerhouses. Silence. Absolute silence. Even Gu Hong was struggling to maintain his composure. How old were Yunxi and her brother? 5 or 6, tops. And they were already at the king realm. Everyone knew they had potential, but this was unbelievable. The geniuses from Gu Qianshue's branch were completely demoralized. Gu Hong felt a bitter taste in his mouth. He remembered feeling so proud when the Changqing Gu family's ancestor reached the emperor realm, but even then, his personal goal was only to reach the late Xian king realm, and now, there were these two kids. The aura coming off Gu Yunxi, the older sister, felt like she had already mastered the Xian king realm. Some things just make you feel terrible, and these two kids were it. Compared to these two, could anyone really call the main branch saints, geniuses, and monsters? Geniuses? Despite the shock, Gu Hong, being a sharp member of the Gu family, quickly regained his composure. He bowed to Gu Changqing and explained why he was there. It's about the Gu family branch in Sangming King City, in Qianyu. After Gu Hong finished talking, Gu Changqing looked surprised. He was planning to go to Qianyu to check on the Nalan family and his sister. It was unexpected that the first Gu family member to reach the emperor realm was also in Qianyu. This changes things. I should go to Qianyu to see the situation. He stood up to say goodbye, intending to sort out things at home before he left. Thankfully, Dad Gu Yuan was there to hold down the fort. In contrast to Gu Changqing's detachment, Dad Gu Yuan and Gu Hong were getting along like a house on fire. Gu Yuan had always valued kinship within the family. During their conversation, Gu Yuan learned that the Changming Gu family, like the Jianglin Gu family, was directly descended from the first ancestor. In its heyday, the Gu clan had more than one celestial venerable, resulting in multiple bloodlines. After thousands of years, there were hundreds of branch families and collaterals, but few branches remained directly connected to the Gu clan's first ancestor. It was fate that these two branches met again after the Gu clan had declined for so long. Moreover, according to ancient family records, the Changming Gu family and the Jianglin Gu family had been close during the Gu clan's glory days. Gu Yuan and Gu Hong became even friendlier. After chatting for a while, Gu Hong finally asked the question that was burning in his mind. What realm is young Master Changqing in? Even the Emperor realm is willing to follow him loyally. It's Qing's realm. Gu Yuan hesitated, unsure how to answer. Finally, he decided to simply tell Gu Hong about the family's situation. They were bound to interact more in the future anyway, and these things weren't exactly secrets. He figured Gu Hong and the others were just in a hurry. Otherwise, they would have learned everything that had happened to the Gu family recently. As Gu Yuan spoke, Gu Hong grew increasingly restless. Gu Changqing, the young master of the Jianglin lineage, incredibly gifted, a flawless god king before the age of 25, on the verge of reaching the emperor realm. He had personally killed an emperor with a single palm. And Xian Huang, a giant of the divine emperor realm, was willing to follow him. Loyally, Gu Hong felt like he was listening to some fantastical tale. Any one of those feats would be enough to cause a sensation in the Changqing family. No, in all of Qinyu, and all of it was concentrated in one person. How could Gu Hong stay calm? Eventually, Gu Hong laughed at himself. The Changqing family still thought of themselves as the main branch of the Gu clan, the strongest of all the branches, but now it seemed like the Jianglin family was the real strongest branch. By a huge margin, he finally understood why the elder of the Jianglin family had been so calm and indifferent. An emperor realm cultivator was nothing compared to the Jianglin family, with young master Changqing and the divine emperor bodyguard. The Kanglan Holy Land, which young master Changqing had destroyed some time ago, was much more powerful than the Changqing family. Gu Hong abandoned any thought of recruiting Gu Yunxi and Gu Qingchen into the Changqing family, afraid to even mention it. Sending those two uncut gems to the Changqing family would be a waste of their potential, but soon, Gu Hong got a piece of news that shocked him. What? Young Master Changqing plans to go to Qinyu and visit Changqing City. And he's taking Yunxi and Qingchen with him. Gu Hong took a deep breath, overwhelmed by a sense of unbelievable fortune. While Gu Hong was in shock, a spirit boat rose from Wangqin Island, sent off by many high-ranking members of the Gu family branch there. On the spirit boat, Gu Jia, another elder of the Changqing family, waved to indicate that they didn't need to see him off. He steered the spirit boat into the sea of clouds. Glancing back at Gu Qing'er, standing tall, the elation in his eyes was even greater than Gu Hong's, far away in Jianglin City. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Gu Jia, actually found such a genius in this small spiritual domain. Gu Jia was ecstatic, feeling incredibly lucky. Gu Hong's team had no main branch geniuses, only children from the branch family, along with a few Gu family worshippers and deacons. The configuration of their entourages was different. Gu Jia's team included several accompanying monks and 3 talented disciples from the main line of Changming. Changming Gu's sacred artifact Jianyu, which can detect talent, is limited in number. Gu Hong relied on his strength and status to get the starry sky feather that can directly detect talent. However, Gu Jia, who has always had some disputes with Gu Hong, lost a little in this competition. He only got an ordinary Tianyu that can only sense the blood of the Gu family. Therefore, he also brought 3 that without Xingqian Tianyu to test talents. We can only bring a few main vein geniuses to test talents. All branch family geniuses who could survive 3 rounds against these main branch geniuses would pass the test. Of course, the main branch geniuses would suppress their strength to match that of the branch family geniuses, preventing any unfair advantages. This rule was fair, but it was hard to gauge the true potential of a branch family genius. But Gu Qing'er was different. After completing Gu Qing'er's test, Gu Jia was certain that even if Gu Qing'er's talent wasn't as good as the contemporary saint and saintess of the Changming family, it wouldn't be by much. She didn't just survive a few rounds against the main branch genius, she had defeated the strongest of the 3 main branch geniuses in a single move. Not only were the branch lineage geniuses selected by Gu Jia stunned, but the other 2 main lineage geniuses and even Gu Jia himself were speechless. During Gu Jia's visits to the branch families, it was rare to find a genius who could withstand 5 moves from this main branch genius. Defeating him was unheard of, but now, Gu Jia had found such a genius, a super genius who had won in a single move. How could Gu Jia not be excited and surprised? Especially considering that he had been outmaneuvered by his old rival Gu Hong and only obtained an ordinary Tianyu. Gu Jia's eyes flashed with satisfaction. Before setting out that day, Gu Jia, in a fit of frustration, had made a bet with Gu Hong. The prize was a king-level elixir. Gu Jia had expected to lose, but then he unexpectedly discovered the genius Gu Qing'er. Brother Gu Hong. Did you think you were guaranteed to find a genius just because you got the starry sky feather? Looking at Gu Qing'er, Gu Jia's eyes were full of anticipation. He couldn't wait to meet up with Gu Hong and the others and make him jealous. He immediately pulled out his sacred artifact, the sky feather, and channeled his spiritual power. He quickly located Gu Hong. Opening his eyes, he waved his hand and ordered his followers to move forward at full speed. We must reach Elder Gu Hong's location before nightfall. I can't wait to see the look on that old guy's face, ha. Yes. Chapter 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Jia couldn't wait. Behind him, Gu Qing'er's eyes sparkled with anticipation. Too, she'd been shocked to learn that someone claiming to be from the Changqing Gu family's main branch was coming, but after much thought, she decided to accept Gu Jia's invitation. According to him, her talent meant she'd get incredible training back at headquarters, maybe even guidance from the emperor's ancestors. That was what really excited her. The Wanyao Nanhai might seem vast to other cultivators, but to Gu Qing'er, it felt too small, like it was holding her back. She didn't want to waste any more time there. She wanted to catch up with Gu Changqing. Just thinking about Changqing's presence that day, and all the rumors she'd heard since, made her heart flutter. With Changqing's talent, he's already way ahead of me. If I don't work harder, I'll be left in the dust. Gu Qing'er didn't necessarily expect to surpass Gu Changqing, but she didn't want to be a nobody either. She wanted to be someone he'd notice when he looked back, someone he'd remember as a sister who'd come far, and the Changming Gu clan, with its emperor realm patriarch, seemed like her ticket to do it. Going to that bigger world would let her reach her goals further and with more confidence. Next to Gu Qing'er, Gu Xie, who had also passed the test, shared her sister's thoughts. The spirit boat sliced through the clouds, heading towards Jianglin City under Gu Jia's command. Meanwhile, back in Jianglin City, Gu Changqing had wrapped up his clan affairs. He planned to visit the Changming Gu family in Qianyu, meet the emperor ancestor, and see what the situation was like. As a Gu family member, he was willing to lend a hand if he could, just like Gu Hong and others had helped so many branches along the way. Plus, the Changming Gu family would give him a foothold. Once he got to Qianyu, he wouldn't be completely lost. He could find information and get the lay of the land faster. He hadn't forgotten that his main goal was to find out about the Nailan family and his sister, Nailan Qingyuan. But first, I'm sorry for leaving you alone for a while, Gu Changqing said to Jiang Lianqin, sounding a little guilty. Jiang Lianqin needed to rest before their third daughter was born, so she couldn't travel and would have to stay at the Gu residence. She didn't want him to leave, but she knew how important it was. Don't worry about me, honey, she said, reassuring him. I'll be safe and sound here. Gu Changqing nodded. I promise I'll be back before our daughter arrives. After comforting his wife, Gu Changqing turned to Xian Huang. With the Tianlian god puppet as protection, Xian Huang didn't need to stay by his side. She could stay in the clan and oversee Xiantian Palace. I hate to ask, but would you be willing to stay here at the Gu residence while I'm gone? Gu Changqing asked with a bow. Xian Huang looked a bit reluctant, but she quickly pulled herself together, clasped her fists, and said solemnly, Don't worry, fellow Taoist Gu. Seeing the reluctance in her eyes, Jiang Lianqin couldn't help but chime in, Xian, can you come with me for a moment? Huh? Xian Huang was startled. As a female cultivator, her instincts made her panic, but she couldn't refuse. After listening to Jiang Lianqin's story, Xian Huang's face flushed slightly. The dignified emperor felt a little helpless for a while. Looking at Jiang Lianqin's eyes, they were all extremely surprised. Sister Lianqin, are you serious? Jiang Lianqin nodded seriously. If sister agrees, I will tell my husband. This, seeing Xian Huang hesitating, wanting to nod but embarrassed, Jiang Lianqin understood her thoughts completely, and without hesitation, she went directly to Gu Changqing and told him all her arrangements. Gu Changqing was baffled, wondering what his wife had said to Emperor Xian that made the once so cold and powerful master of the spirit realm act like a little girl. As cold as Xian Huang, she had never been moved by any man. Gu Changqing was the first. He was so dazzling, like the stars in the sky, like a banished immortal. Even he himself was ashamed of himself. After listening to Jiang Lianqin's words, Gu Changqing himself didn't know what to say. Did he like Xian Huang? Of course, especially when facing the powerful men of Daoyuo Tiangong that day, Xian Huang could have left and ignored herself, but she still chose to stay, with the determination to die. at that time, only Gu Changqing knew that with the Tianzun puppet, he would not be in trouble, but Xian Huang didn't know this. As for Jiang Lianqing's arrangement, it was very simple. After Gu Changqing returned from Qianyu and their third daughter was born, she would take the initiative to marry Xian Huang to Gu Changqing. It'll save you two from dancing around each other all day long, too embarrassed to say anything. And suddenly thinking of something, Jiang Lianqing blushed and glared at her husband coquettishly. How could I be dancing around? Gu Changqing wanted to protest, but was too embarrassed. Was he attracted to Xian Huang? He was just envious of her talent and luck. But he couldn't say that out loud, so he just nodded and agreed to whatever his wife wanted. In his heart, he couldn't wait to get back from Qianyu. His wife had already given him 3 talented children. What if Emperor Xian was even more talented than Jiang Lianqing? Wouldn't that be something? He shook his head, trying to clear his thoughts and avoid getting carried away. Gu Changqing then called for Yunxi and her brother. After training in Menjiuquan, they had both grown a lot. Gu Qingchen was now in the middle stage of the Xianwang realm and Gu Yunxi had jumped straight to the perfect Xianwang realm. With that kind of strength, they were eager to see the world. They were strong enough, and Gu Changqing had given them life-saving talismans. It wasn't unreasonable to let them go out and train, so Gu Changqing decided to take them with him this time, to show them the wider world. With everything set, Gu Changqing boarded the spirit boat with Yunxi, her brother, and Gu Hong at the helm. There were barriers between realms. If a spirit boat didn't have a special formation, it would slow down as it passed through the void between the boundary walls, and it could even be damaged by the spatial turbulence. Tragedies of destroyed ships and lost lives happen from time to time, so, even though Gu Changqing's spirit boat was better than Gu Hong's King Level 1, he decided to go with Gu Hong. His own boat didn't have a void-traveling defensive formation, and he didn't want to waste time setting it up. The speed wouldn't be that much different anyway. The spirit boat took off and headed toward the boundary wall at the edge of the spirit domain, but before they got far, another flying boat sped toward them, catching up in no time. Ha ha ha. Gu Hong. Get ready to eat my dust. Gu Jia was all smiles. He was practically giddy with the thought of showing up his old rival. He gleefully shouted his cousin's name and danced around, full of arrogant glee. Hand over that precious pill we bet. You know you're gonna lose.